Even though I'm glad Colonel Kurtz has made headway, in the end, she will never cross the finish line. She herself is still a misandrist. Anyone who tries to support Me Too ever is a misandrist. Now, let's hear this.
What we have seen over the past 2 years is that some disturbed and or opportunistic individuals have weaponized not only Me Too, but have weaponized modern media, Instagram, and as it turns out, HBO.
How would they weaponize modern media? Like they can come to modern media and give their bullshit story, but modern media isn't forced to run with it. Modern media is feminist run, and that's why. Modern media has been weaponized against men. That's what it's been weaponized against. And Me Too, Kurtz, and by the way, everyone, Colonel, um, we've been telling you this. You've been told multiple times that Me Too is an attack on men. It is a weapon. So for you to say that is to try to say that it was good in the beginning. It never was. Just like feminism was never good at the beginning, Me Too is an attack on men's right to fair trial. You know it. So for you to keep repeating this means you're a misandrist.
To perpetuate this gigantic hoax against this man, against Marilyn Manson, and to ruin his life.
Oh, by the way, I'm really annoyed with the word hoax. When I see a black man swinging from a tree, I don't say this guy is a victim of a hoax. I say he's a victim of a lynching. And that's exactly what they've been trying to do with Marilyn Manson and so many of these other guys. Me Too is a lynching. Now, Colonel Kurtz has said something along those lines. I want to give her credit, but usually she uses the watered down term hoax. Okay. Sasquatch is a hoax. Marilyn Manson they're trying to lynch him.
And I'm going to start referring to him as Brian Warner more. And those of you who've been watching me for 2 years, in case you wonder, why am I going to start calling him Brian? It's because I think people need to understand, and Candace mentioned this yesterday in her video, and I really appreciate it. People need to understand that there is a human being underneath the scary makeup and underneath the persona that he has cultivated, sometimes to his detriment, over.
He could be a complete asshole. The only thing that matters is he guilty of what they're claiming or isn't he? That's all that matters. Brian Warner could be a complete asshole that's completely unlikable. It's beside the point.
Over the past decades. There is a real human being there, and as it turns out, it's not a human being who has abused women. And is a human being who is the victim of a vast, complicated, modern hoax. And so can
It's not really complicated, though. It's very simple. Women are lying about it, and the media is running with it. It's not complex.
this is on it now, and I thought that her 5-minute interview was a perfect introduction to the case, and I thought that she did a really great job summing up what has happened this past week or so with Ashley Morgan Smithline's declaration and what that means for this case. And I appreciate Candace
By the way, Smithline, I think she's the one who bailed, who flipped. We'll see.
Owens conceding that she did not give this case enough attention initially when these allegations came out against Manson because she didn't like his image, and also because politically, perhaps, these are my thoughts, but perhaps politically, she didn't appreciate some of the things that he said over the years.
He's a guy. That's it. That's the only thing that's going on here, Colonel. Marilyn Manson is a guy. If he was a woman, Candace Owen wouldn't be saying any of this shit. So let's not make any excuses.
But or the Trump decapitation video that he did. Um, but look, here's the thing. Okay, Candace is able to look past all of that, and she's able to see that what's really important here is that This weaponization of Me Too that we have seen occurring over
It's
the.
not a weaponization. It's always been a weapon. My shotgun wasn't weaponized. I wasn't opening beer cans with my shotgun, and then all of a sudden someone put slugs in my shotgun. What happened? No, no. It is a weapon. Kurtz, women have always had the right, the legal right, to go to the police with any accusations. And they either have the evidence to back it up or they don't. Me Too is a way for women to avoid the due process that men deserve. It is an attack. It is a weapon.
The past several years, and particularly that came to light with the Amber Heard hoax against Johnny Depp.
Oh, by the way, don't give too much credit to this Candace Owen person over here, because the mainstream media has already been embarrassed by the Depp Heard conflict, right? So and it's not looking very good with this Marilyn Manson character. I guess it's going to come to light that he is innocent, right? So what it is she's turning around and saying, I better get on the right ship. But if she had her way, Manson would have been jailed.
The weaponization of Me Too, and also the degradation of the mainstream media so that they perpetuate these kinds of BS claims without ever looking into them. That is the big problem right now, okay?
But you never see this degradation beyond this particular situation, do you? Do you? It's always a man being accused by a woman falsely. And the mainstream media jumps aboard. Almost every mainstream outlet is feminist controlled. That's why. And this is why I'm talking about. Kurtz here is basically a feminist. And that's why she'll never bring it to the light. This is why men are always looking for their Joan of Arc. This is not a Joan of Arc here, everybody. No offense to you, Colonel, but I know you're a feminist, aren't you? I haven't. I'll tell you what. First of all, if you back Me Too, then you're a feminist. If you believe in patriarchy theory, you're a feminist, right? If you want to prove me wrong, turn around and say, I, Colonel Kurtz, disavow feminism. And that'll be a start. And disavow patriarchy theory. That's what you'd have to do. Okay, now I believe this is the Ashley Morgan Smith line you're talking about, who flipped, who was after Marilyn Manson and then switched up her bullshit story. And Kurtz here is going to try and give her credit. Colonel, I'm not going to allow you to do this.
Gigantic has happened in the Marilyn Manson situation. And I'm this is probably going to be the least eloquent video I've ever done because I'm just totally at a loss for words. This is just astounding. And, you know, for those of you who've been following this situation, this case, this gigantic, massive hoax on a scale of which Amber Heard never even dreamed of, that's how huge this is.
It's not a hoax, it's a lynching.
Coordinated with multiple people and an HBO documentary and I mean legal cases out the ass, all of this, right? Huge. And it's a hoax. And there have been a few of us on a corner of the internet, a little corner of the internet on our little YouTube channels, and you know, with our small social media influence, there have been a small group of us that have been shouting at the top of our lungs that this is a massive hoax and that Marilyn Manson is innocent. And we could.
This should tell you something about the nature of human beings, Colonel. If all the mainstream media outlets are telling bold-faced lies about a man simply because he is a man and he's being accused by a woman, That should tell you that the very core nature of humanity, men and women, is misandric. The misogynist is almost non-existent. The misandry is the norm.
Not get almost anyone to pay attention. And 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 now something amazing has happened. One of Manson's main accusers, Ashley Morgan Smithline, she did a People magazine article, a big photo spread, and had a cover. She went on The View. She sued him. I mean, this is one of the major accusers against Marilyn Manson. And she has fucking flipped. And I don't mean that in a derogatory or derisive or insulting way at all, because I have to just tell you, I have been really hard on Ashley Morgan Smithline, and I
Rightfully so, because she's a false accuser. She's a criminal.
have insulted her in probably almost every way that you could insult someone, and I've definitely insulted her character.
That's because she has no character. She has no character. This woman is flipped because she can see the writing on the wall. She could see that her name was going to be dragged to the mud. And so, what is that expression I'm thinking? Oh, yeah, damage control. She's working damage control right now.
And, I don't retract those things because at the time I felt that they were an appropriate response to what I thought was a really shitty thing. But you know what? She has she has totally come clean, and she has taken moral culpability, responsibility for this, and she has taken
No, no, she hasn't. Flipping because you're scared of consequences is not taking any kind of moral responsibility. This woman is a complete coward. And she knows she was going to be found out, and so she's running now. Sorry, I do not forgive her. I want this woman behind bars with the other criminals, the other Me Too criminals.
it upon herself to expose this fucking hoax and to speak up for Marilyn Manson and to speak up for the truth. And I just have to say that, she's not being paid. I don't see what she's getting out of this. The kind of courage it takes, the kind of courage
You
it
know what she's getting out of this. She's trying to protect her reputation. That's what she's getting out of it. I mean, come on, don't be so gullible.
takes to stand up in front of millions of people and not only to speak for the truth and to stand up against this hoax and this Me Too, the bullshit or the excesses of Me Too that are now being weaponized.
No, 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 it's not excess. And it's not weaponized. So, stop being a misandrist. This one time, like, look, guys, every woman that's ever started off trying to be the voice of men, they always fail. Every one of them. You may never heard of the honey badgers. I used to watch their content all the time. They fell apart. These women, they're like horses that are moving at top speed, and you figure you can ride them to the finish line. But when the finish line starts becoming into view, they start slowing up, and then they stop. And some actually start running the other way. This woman will never carry it through. The reason why she's always talking about Me Too as if it was a good thing is because this woman wants women to have the power to basically jail men she doesn't like. She just happens to like Brian Warner, right? Marilyn Manson. She happens to like Johnny Depp. But the scummy guy down the street, she doesn't care about him. And that's why she's always trying to protect Me Too.
By opportunistic, borderline personality disorder people like Evan Rachel Wood and Amber Heard and others. The kind of courage it takes to stand up against that is tremendous. But the kind of courage that it takes to
Please don't brag up this woman's cowardice as if it's courage. She's getting the hell out of Dodge. This rat is abandoning the sinking ship. The ship she's on is sinking. So she's jumping. That's what's going on here.
stand up in front of millions of people and admit that you participated in a morally repugnant activity and in a hoax and a takedown of an innocent man, to be able to stand up and admit that.
Well, she says that over and over again. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, just a minute. This one is important. She tries to say she was scammed.
Stand up and admit that you got scammed.
No, no,
I know.
no. This woman was not scammed. She was not fooled by anybody. This woman was tempted. These women came to her, said, "Here's a guy you knew in the past. He's a guy, so you hate his guts. So why don't we see if we can ruin his career for fun?" And she went for it. She wasn't scammed. She was tempted. And Smithline shows you what the average woman thinks of the average man. So I'm not going to let you get away with this, Colonel. I'm not going to let you get away with painting this scumbag as someone who is courageous and has moral integrity and is a good person. No, this person is a slime bag, this Smithline character. I think some of the things she says here is quite revealing too.
People canceled on me. And I get tired. I've been doing this for 2 years, along with some of you, my comrades in this fight. You know what it's like. We get beat up a lot. We get exposed online. People from all sides give a shit, even friendly fire.
That's right. People want men to be second-class citizens, and they're willing to do anything to keep us there.
And all of that's forgiven now. I just want us, but I'm just saying that, like, this is hard and there's not much of a payoff to it. And
Hold it now. For me, there's a big payoff, Colonel. I get to keep my rights as a human being. That's a huge payoff for me. And that's all I'm looking for. I'm getting no money for this. I'm getting very few accolades. Now, you have a YouTube channel that, as far as I'm concerned, is doing quite well. And I suspect that, let's see, you got a tip jar, PayPal, Patreon, right? So you're making money off this channel. You're gaining from it, right? And the thing is, being a woman, you can bail from this at any time. But come on, if you bailed from this, you would have to get a real job. So trust me, whatever you're going through, it's worth it.
I have to tell you, there have been so many times in this when I've just been getting by basically on just a kind of a faith, just this feeling inside that, I'm sorry, this feeling inside that even though there were people all around me saying, "Why are you wasting your time on this? Why are you devoting all this time to this? It's silly, or he's guilty, or whatever. It's never going to go anywhere. There's too many women against him. The narrative."
Thank you. This was a very revealing thing she had just admitting. There's too many women against him, not people, women. No offense, Colonel, I'm not dumping on you. But come on. You just admitted that women have social power that men lack. There's too many women against him. Thank you. So these people are actually coming out, whoever told you that, and saying that the legal system doesn't matter. As if a woman's pointing her finger at you and they start ganging up on a man, it's over for that man. Because the legal system does not protect men. We do not have the same rights as women.
too strong and whatever, and I just had this feeling, and I know some of you did as well. We just stick with this, just keep going. And I guess what I'm happy. It's just that it's so rare in life. I don't know. I don't know if it's rare or not. I'm sorry I'm being ineloquent, but I feel like so often in life we devote ourselves to things. We pour our hearts into things, and we work hard, and we don't ever really see much of a payoff, or we don't really know what it amounts to. And I just kind of, for the last 2 years, I've been putting up a brave face, but there's a part of me that's the whole time that's been saying, "What are you doing? Am I wasting my time? Is this a lost cause? Is this a stupid cause?" And
So a man's rights is a stupid cause? Well, For all I know, you might be wasting your time because in the end, like I say, you don't have to suffer any consequences, not really. You can just dump this whole thing today and become Jane Doe, and you'll have rights when I don't. You don't suffer from this, Kurtz.
To have something like this happen, not only an astounding shift in momentum, but to have something that really kind of came out of nowhere that I thought would never happen, which is that one of these women would turn on this group, would turn on this hoax, and to have that have happened, and to have this feeling of blessed vindication for Marilyn.
Okay, just a minute. I'll see if there's any further. Okay, this is important because she notes that the Johnny Depp fans were nowhere when it came to Marilyn Manson.
Road to go, and we've got a big lawsuit to go, and well, there's multiple lawsuits and all kinds of bullshit, and we need you. So Johnny Depp people, I have a message for you, by the way. I'm just gonna get snot all over the place. All right, deal with it. Johnny Depp supporters, some of you, a lot of you have been on the fence with this Manson stuff, and I totally understand it. We don't even have to talk about why it is, because the
I understand. I don't understand it. Well, actually, I do. These people are just like you, Kurtz. They only care about, there's certain guys they care about, and that's all they know. They don't actually care about the principle. They don't care about men as a whole. So, of course, their boy Johnny was being attacked. This is an outrage. Some other celebrity, male celebrities being attacked. Who cares? So I understand what's going on there. These Depp fans have no right talking like people should understand what Depp's going through, considering they have the exact same attitude as everybody else when it comes to other men.
reasons are self-evident, and I understand them. And I know, a lot of you just weren't sure. Now you see the truth, okay? This is like that moment in when you heard the Amber Heard Johnny Depp tapes. That was my aha moment. I heard those tapes and I was like, okay, I see what's going on here. I hear what's going on here.
If they're not sure, that means they didn't even bother looking at the evidence, did they? All they've got is a woman's word. And that was okay with them. Because again, Kurtz, misandry is the norm for men and women. Okay. By the way, everyone, here's the view, right? Here's the view. And if I'm not going to play it because they'll just copyright it, but they talked about, they had Rachel Woods back here. They talked like what she was doing was on the up and up, right? 11 months ago. Okay. So they didn't look into what's going on either, did they? Because they don't care. They're feminist run. So all the major media, again, they're going to listen to this woman liar. And you know something? When this woman turns out, when people find out that she's lying, will The View make an apology over this? No, they're not going to. Okay. I just thought I'd wrap that up. And just to reinforce this,
Um, Amber Heard is innocent? Like, I just, like, full stop there. I just can't comprehend that there are people who actually listen to that audio that we've all listened to of her berating Johnny Depp and calling him, a coward, and saying he runs away from her all the time and admitting to hitting him and all of that stuff. And there are people, there are people who actually work for NBC News and other supposedly, sophisticated journalistic outlets. There are people who actually like listen to all those audios, and it sounded to them like Amber Heard was the victim and Johnny Depp was the abuser. Like that.
it didn't sound like that to them. They're just lying. They're just lying.
I don't know. I just can't really even get beyond that. But okay, so this woman who thinks that Amber Heard is innocent. This woman thinks that I have been having too much influence in the Marilyn Manson situation as it's unfolded. And she says here, people should really pay attention to how influencers covering celebrity legal cases are interfering with those cases directly. Look at how they are speaking to accusers directly to manipulate them into recanting. Look at how it's working. This is extrajudicial influence. Well, I mean, extrajudicial influence, you're just talking about anything that happens outside of the courts and the legal system. So aren't you, Kat, also a form of extrajudicial influence? Or are you saying nobody listens to you? I mean, I agree with you. The mainstream media, it's kind of going out the door. You seem
No, no, no. The mainstream media is what it has always been. You're just not willing to admit what's going on, Kurtz. Now, another problem with Kurtz is she wants to be liked. She's a woman who wants to be liked by other women, which means she's not going to be effective for standing up for men.
you not advocating for Amber Heard when time and time and time again you're posting things in her favor? And some of the insults that you and others have thrown at Johnny Depp over the course of this thing, Michelle Dauber. Come on. It's a YouTube channel. Of course I'm talking to Ashley Morgan Smithline. I'm talking to everyone. I'm talking to you too, Kat. And let me tell you something, Kat. I'm not scared, and I would be totally willing to do an interview with you.
This is what I'm talking about. So if I was against the white nationalist, I wouldn't ask the white nationalist to come on to my channel so we can talk, because people would immediately know that I must be sympathetic to them. If I'm against racism, I don't talk with the white nationalist. And if you're for men's rights, you don't bring on this feminist man-hater and talk to her. Why are you going to talk to her about? So this is what I'm talking about, guys. You really think this woman is going to be in your corner? She's going to be for a limited amount of time, and if there's no real consequences involved. And in the end, I just want to end off to saying the same thing, reminding you, this woman can jump off the train anytime she wants if it gets too hot. Join the other side or say, I'm just a woman. Her rights aren't at stake. Ours are. I want you to understand that. We're the ones that have to lose. She has temptation to just bail when things get too rough. In the end, in order to make things truly equal, she would have to give up female privilege. She's never going to do that. She has nothing to gain, really, by going all the way to the finish line. We've got to do it ourselves. Okay, that's it.